Our discussion for our Module 10 for our WSM. This is actually the last lecture for WSM. So I hope you guys are safe, firstly. Okay, so amidst the storms. So I'll be starting with the presentation. So first off, here are your objectives. So identify training and management activities and know the importance of program development for workers. So basically, every organization, yes, it needs training. So why? Okay, kahit nga even you as students, 'di ba? You actually have had trainings, or you actually were actually here for training. Okay, you are being educated so that less training would be needed if in case you would be inside the manufacturing or the corporate. Okay, so that's the essence of training, and every organization also needs training as well. Okay, so let's know the purpose and functions of training. So initially, the main purpose of training is actually closing the gap. Okay? So we have the expected or knowledge, expected skills, knowledge, um, for each and every one. Okay? And basically, even halimbawa, in manufacturing, di ba? Say, for example, you're expected to produce 1,000 cars. Pero ang napoproduce mo lang is 800 cars. Okay? So, may gap na 200 cars. And it is actually attempted na baka mamaya may gap. Okay, kaya hindi niya na-fulfill yung 1,000. Baka kulang sa training or hindi niya pa masyadong gimay yung proseso, mga ganong bagay. Same goes with the other functions. Okay, so when you're applying, I hope you're seeing naman the job posts. So there are qualifications. Okay, there's a gap. There will always be a gap. But and the company would try to address or minimize or close the gap if possible, okay, for you to be able to be 100% qualified for the position that you are actually working on with. Okay, so training needs. The reason for not making the 1,000 cars might actually be from not enough resources, poor machine, okay? So, or expecting results too high, target achievable, is training the only way to make it happen? Okay, so these are actually the questions that are analyzed. Okay, training lang ba talaga o baka may ibang factor? Okay, so kung training yung problema, so syempre iti-train natin siya. Okay, sample this one. Okay, so imagine you are the managing director of a full-service restaurant. One day you receive a complaint letter from a guest reporting he or she was not satisfied with the follow-up regarding their criticism of being overcharged in one of our restaurants. Why was the complaint made? Okay? So initially, bilang boss or bilang manager, you would be trying to find out why did it happen? Okay? So, anong lapses? Anong nangyari? Bakit may overcharging na nangyari? Okay? If it's system-based, nag-error ba yung system? Okay? Actually, in reality, if you're in the industry, the last that you would, same as time studies, the last that you would be blaming is the people. Okay? And if in case biniblame mo yung people, training yung kailangan. Okay? O training yung sagot. Kung ang may kasalanan talaga after thorough analysis of the root cause, without na-consider mo na yung machine, standard time, and whatsoever, nakita mo na afterwards, ang root cause talaga ng problema ay tao, training yung sagot doon. Okay? So, if the gap is in the people, therefore, training yung kailangan ninyong gawin. Okay? So, 3 reasons to consider conducting internal needs analysis. So, internal needs analysis, ito yung pag-check kung ano-ano ba yung kailangan ng inyong empleyado. Okay? So, una, employee obsolescence or outdated. So, ang nangyayari, baka hindi na nila, yung mga current employees nyo masyado ng outdated. Masyado ng luma yung alam nila. Ang alam pa rin nilang gamitin ay typewriter, computers na yung ginagamit ngayon. Ang alam pa rin nila ay AutoCAD, pero ang ginagamit na ngayon ay other software na. other advanced software na. Okay? So, outdated. Kailangan ng training pag ganon. Next, career plateaus. Okay? So, parang lahat naman ng tao, whenever they're in the industry, they would want to go up the ladder. Meaning, making them stagnant for a position more than 2 years would make them bored in that position. Okay? So therefore, you have to increase his or her skills for him to ladder up. Okay? And one way to increase his skills, knowledge, okay, is through training. Okay? So para mapaangat niyo si empleyado, next is to address the employee turnover. When we're talking about employee turnover, these are the resignations. These are often arising from employee boredom, as stated a while ago, or di kaya issues and whatsoever. Okay, so one way to practically address that is also through opportunities of training, development for new employees. Okay, so importance of training. So first, it maintains qualified products or services, especially people. Okay, achieves high service standards. Okay, if your employees are well trained, if your employees are constantly being retrained, refreshed in the training, they would be expected to produce the same output. Hindi yung afterwards, next year, hindi ko limot ko na ang mga nangyayari. Okay, so yun, kailangan kasi ng refresher training. Provides information for newcomers, kaya in the future, you would be having orientations, which is also considered as trainings. And then refreshes memory for old employees. That's why we have refresher trainings. Okay, so for them to refresh their memories with regards to the knowledge attained. Halimbawa, previous year, normally it's a refresher every year siya. And achieves learning about new things like technology, product, service, or delivery. Next is reduce mistakes or minimize cost. Okay, so yung mga kalituhan, okay, so medyo i-training natin so para hindi siya nagkakamali. And opportunity for staff to feedback or suggest improvements. Then improves communication and relationships, which results to better teamwork. So most training is targeted to ensure trainees learn something they apply to their job. So meaning, you won't be training something that they can use inside. Okay? So hindi pwedeng maisipan mo lang kung anong iti-training mo. Okay? Lahat ng ipapatrain natin sa mga empleyado magagamit nila sa kanilang current work. Okay? So, therefore, ang dami nating nasabing benefit, okay, ng training. Define muna natin si training. So, training is actually the systematic process through which an organization, human resource, gain knowledge and develop skills by instruction, practical activities that result in improved corporate performance. So, in this, kung mapapansin nyo, nandito yung doer. Ang doer, ang nagkakonduct ng training ay si human resource. And there's two ways to do that. They can actually outsource, okay? Or they can train as the trainers themselves, okay? So, yun yung ginagawa ng human resource. Objective is for the people to gain knowledge, additional knowledge, or refurbish the knowledge, or edit the knowledge, okay? And then develop the skills. Develop the skills meaning kung wala siyang skill set, o di kaya kung kulang yung skill set niya, okay, by instruction and practical activities. So that's the strong definition of training. So differences between training, education, and development. So training is actually short-term, task-oriented, and targeted on achieving a change of attitude, skills, and knowledge in a specific area. While education is a lifetime investment. This is what actually you were doing now. Okay? So it tends to be initiated by the person in the area of his or her interest. So that's the difference. And lastly is development. Development is a long-term investment in human resource. Okay? So you might actually be wondering what is training, difference between training and teaching. Okay, so training is facilitated by a facilitator and teaching is by an expert. Training actually tries to teach you the real life application, how to do this in actual, while teaching focuses on the theory or establishes the theoretical, like kaya didiscuss sa inyo dito yung mga physics, ganyan, kasi ito yung fundamentals, ganyan. Okay? Then, training, active siya, ang language na ginagamit natin. For teaching, passive siya. And then, for training, ang nangyayari is you do it. Sa teaching, medyo demonstration lang. So, sa training, ibinibigay sa inyo yung what woods. Okay? So, sa teaching, here's how to use it. Okay? Try mo nga. Mga ganon. Okay? So, as a trainer kasi, you may want to be the expert, but part of your role is to find out how the training you are doing relates to what is happening on the job now and to get your audience involved. So, you have to be able to do these things because that actually satisfies the adult learner's needs. Okay? So, hindi kasi pwedeng yung the way that your professors in college handled you, ganun din yung gagawin mo sa training. It's a different scenario kasi that's different knowledge, different ages, different expectations. Okay? So, kaya iba yung perspective natin when it comes to training. The ask concept. So if we follow the gap concept, so the training is simply a means to use activities to fill the gaps. Okay, so the gaps can be separated into the ask themes. We have the attitude, skills, knowledge. Okay, so yan yung tatlong ina-address, tinatry, na i-edit pag pumasok kayo sa industry or tinatry nating i-modify sa ating employees. So, this is actually an exercise ranked ask by difficulty to develop in people. Okay, so initially you might actually be saying na attitude is easy, skills is most difficult, etc., etc. But in reality, attitude is the most difficult one to address. Bakit? Okay, so sabi nga nila, yung attitude kasi nasa iyo na yan. I mean, sobrang tagal niya bago ma-modify, okay? Parang pag nakasanayan mo yung isang bagay, madadala at madadala mo siya sa kahit saan ka mapunta. Okay? So, kaya yan yung pinaka-challenging na i-modify. Okay? So, kaya nga, nowadays, the industries tend to hire for attitude. Okay? Meaning, madali kasing i-modify itong skills at knowledge eh. Okay? Pero yung attitude, yung attitude to learn, yung literal na attitude na arte, ang daming hiling sa buhay, mga ganyan. So, ang hirap niyang i-address, okay, as compared dun sa isa na kahit wala siyang knowledge, wala siyang skills, pero okay yung attitude niya, okay lang yun, mas okay siyang i-manage. Okay, so yun, attitude, yan yung pinakamahirap. Skills is moderately difficult to address, and knowledge is the easiest to address. Okay, kaya nga, parang afterwards, pagka very wordy lang yung discussion, hindi mathematical, di ba? Ang exam na binibigay sa inyo, identification lang, kasi memorization lang yun. Knowledge yun. Okay? Pero pag skills, ito na yung kaya mong gumawa, kaya mong mag-perform, kaya mong maglegar. Okay? So, skills. Okay? So, yun yung mga example ng skills. So, yun. It's very essential na as a trainer, you would have to identify kung saan siya may gap dyan sa tatlong yan. Okay? Baka may gap siya sa skills, sa knowledge, or baka sa attitude. Okay? So, para ma-address nyo yung tamang training sa tamang gap. Okay? So, 5 principles of learning. So, we have participation. So, in participation, you actually involve your trainees, learn by doing ang ginagawa nyo. So, we have repetition, uulitin. So, repeat ideas and concepts to help the people learn. So, especially for those na auditory learner. Ako kasi personally, I'm an auditory learner. Whenever I try to hear pag may sinasaula ko, sinasabi ko siya. Pag naririnig ko siya, tsaka ako siya na-memorize. Okay? So, yun. there are people like that. Most of the people are like that. Okay, so that applies na repetition ang one way of learning. Next is relevance. Learn better when material is meaningful and related. Okay? So, sabihin ka, yung mga presenters or mga trainers, makikita nyo may mga GIFs, yung gumagalaw na image, o di kaya yung mga example niya na inilalagay nila ay yung nangyari din sa planta. Okay? So, yun. Relevance. Another way na matututo ang inyong future trainees. Next is transference. Okay? So, ito naman, ang learning na gagawin mo ay papakita ka ng simulations. Na halimbawa, ang setup ay set A. Okay? Set A. Tapos, ito ang mangyayari. Anong gagawin mo? Mga ganon. So, transference yung tactic na ginagawa mo doon. Okay? Pag yun ang ginagamit mo for your training. So, by the way, you might actually be wondering, Miss, bakit nasa methods yung training? Okay, so though meron din topic na ganito sa engineering management, let's take it. But, kung matatandaan nyo, si methods ay hindi successfully mai-implement kung hindi na-train yung empleyado. And most of the time, as industrial engineers, since tayo yung nag-craft, nag-study ng methods, nag-devise, naggawa ng method, tayo din yung nagtitrain. Okay? Kaya, very essential na alam nyo kung paano mag-train. Okay? Alam nyo ano yung pwedeng gawin, ano yung nakakatulong para ma-learn ng mga different ages okay, ng mga tao. Okay? So, yan. So, apat na ito pwede nyo gamitin. At lastly ay feedback. Okay? Sabi nila, yun nga yung kaya nga every time na nagde-discuss, laging live yung discussion ha. Laging tinatanong kung may natutunan ba o di kaya mag-quiz kayo afterwards. Okay? Kasi dun mo makikita kung mayroon talagang pumasok. Okay? One way to check kung mayroon talagang pumasok sa inyong mga tinitrain is for you to ask. Okay? Kung may question ba o di kaya ikaw yung magtatanong sa kanila. Okay? Kasi in that way, na-force, kumbaga, tumataas yung adrenaline ng inyong mga estudyante o yung mga tinitrain niyo at na gigising sila na, okay, seryoso pala, may patanong sa dulo, okay? Or di kaya ay magbabasa lang sila next kasi nga nagtatanong ka pala, mga ganong bagay. So, it's very essential na you would have to address the feedback. You would have every now and then to connect with your audience kasi that's where the learning process actually occurs. Nag-iisip sila kaysa nakikinig lang sila. And once na nag-iisip yung mga tao or nag-iisip yung mga estudyante nyo o yung mga future na ititrain nyo, dun nangyayari yung learning. Okay? Dun lang nangyayari yung learning. Okay? So again, etong limang to yung pwede nyong gamitin for learning. You can have it combined, you can have it isa lang, okay? Pero mas powerful kung gagamitin niya yung 5 principles na yan for learning, okay? So, systematic approach to training. So, key concepts in preparing a training plan. So, you might actually be wondering, what is a training plan, ma'am? Okay, so training plan is actually the plan or the schedule or the items that are needed to be fulfilled, okay, in terms of fulfilling the gap or closing the gap. Okay, yung gap kanina na pinag-uusapan natin yung ask ha, attitude, skills, at saka knowledge. Okay, so before you train and develop, identify what they must know. Okay, so identify nyo doon. Sa training plan, ito yung laman niya, tatlo. What they must know, what they should know, and what would be nice for them to know. Yang tatlong yan ang nasa loob ng training plan. Okay, so meaning, nakalagay doon yung objective, okay, doon sa they must know, what they should know, okay, so naka-itemize ano yung specific topics under the header, o halimbawa may topic, ano yung subtopics, okay, naka-specify doon, and then what would be nice for them to know. So yung mga halimbawa ay suggested ways of delivery, o halimbawa ay live, o di kaya halimbawa, using role-playing, gano'n. Okay, what would be nice to know? Yun yung ibig sabihin nun. So, yung tatlong yan ay nasa loob ng inyong training plan. Later, I'll try to show you a sample of a training plan. So, greatest motivational principle, people do what people see. Okay, so, initially, you are actually, ang pinaka-best way, diba may nakita tayong principles kanina ng learning, okay? The best way is actually making them do it, okay? So, but initially, the steps should follow as, first, I'll do it. Okay? Especially pag skills, I do it. Ibig sabihin, ako muna, pakita ko sa inyo kung paano. Step 2, gagawin ko, sabay tayo. Okay? Kumbaga especially for walang knowledge dun sa gagawin nyo, okay? Yung factor na sasabayan mo siya, okay? Dahan-dahan niyang gagawin, yung kung ano man yung itinuturo mo. So, medyo makakagain agad siya ng knowledge. We can now proceed to step 3. You do it, I'm with you. Ibig sabihin, hindi na kagaya kanina sa step 2 na ikaw yung nagga-guide. Ngayon, parang magmimimic ka or mag-a-acting ka na, o anong susunod? Okay, mga ganon. So, yun yung step 3. And step 4, ikaw na lang or siya na lang ang gagawa. Okay? So, in that way, you would be able to be sure na naintindihan niya yung instruction mo. At the same time, makikita mo kung mapo-perfect, nakuha niya 100% based sa details ng instructions mo. Okay? Lastly, step 5, you do it and someone is with you. This is the highest learning daw. Okay? The highest learning that you can actually provide is that this person can actually train others. Okay? Meaning, dahil sobrang galing niya na, sobrang alam niya na yung process na yun, kaya niya nang ituro yun sa iba. Okay, you train others. That's the highest level of being trained. Okay? I'm being able to train others na. Okay? So, mga level 5 yan pag nasa industry na kayo. Okay? So, yan yung mga levels ng inyong knowledge or training. Okay? So, can do alone. Pagka level 3 ka, level 4 can do alone. Level 5 can train others. Then, yung 1, 2, 3, nagre-range from low knowledge to high knowledge. Okay? So, yun yung distinction nyo whenever you're training people and whenever kayo yung natitrain. Okay? So, again, the highest part possible is yung can train others. Okay? So, which is, ito yung goal natin sa lahat ng ititrain natin. Sana lahat ng ititrain nyo can train others na agad. Okay? Para kumbaga, pag may isa ka kasing can train others sa linya, automatic yung mga katabi niya, of course, matuturuan niya. Okay? And yung mga katabi niya yun, magiging highly skilled sila. Though kasi, pag nasa planta kayo, imposible na lahat kayo ay patitigilin yung planta at lahat kayo ay magti-training. Imposible yun. By batch ang nangyayari. Okay? So, kaya it's very essential na once na nagawa niyo isang batch na yon, hopefully, lahat sila ay can train others. Para habang nag-iintay tayong sumalang sa training yung iba, okay, yung ibang kabatch, ay yung ibang kalinya nila o yung ibang ka-work nila, kaya nilang i-assist. No? Kaya nilang i-assist hanggang makakuha din sila ng can train others na certification from you. Okay? So, yan yung concept ng training. Okay? So, yung people do what people see. So, model of training process. So, this is actually the process that you would actually be going through. So, first off, you have to assess, okay, the organizational needs. So, organizational needs meaning, kailangan malaman mo muna yung goal ng iyong company, yung vision, mission, okay, ano bang gusto, okay, para bago ka man lang maggawa ng training sa baba, alam mo kung saan kasi gustong pumunta ng planta. Okay? Next, task need assessment. So, since alam mo na kung saan gusto pumunta ng planta, alam mo, gusto nyo maging known worldwide or the main production or main producer of apples, kunyari. Main producer of apples. So, task need assessment. Ano yung mga kailangang task or ano yung mga kailangang skills ng tao para makapag-produce sila ng best apple? Okay? Kasi ang goal mo sa taas, sa organization, ay makapag-produce ang kumpanya nun ng best apple. Okay? So, dito sa baba, ano dapat yung skills na meron? Okay? Para skills or knowledge para makapag-produce ng best apple itong mga taong to. Okay? Then, with that, you would have to identify your training objectives. So, it can be multiple. Okay? Madami. Ilista nyo lahat ng training objectives nyo. Then, isa-isa nyo siyang i-address. Okay? So, halimbawa, objective 1, address mo siya by designing and selecting a procedure for training. Okay? Halimbawa, kailangan pala ng Six Sigma. Okay? E di, mag-design ka kung ano-anong i-discuss sa Six Sigma doon sa part na iyon. Okay? Then, train. Okay? And then, measure training results. So, by exam or validation. And then, compare results versus the criteria. Okay? Tapos, check nyo lang ulit, recheck, and the cycle continues. So, that is how the training process is actually making things work. Okay? So, it actually boils down na ito ay nagsisimula sa organizational needs. Okay? And then, converting them into the operational needs, which is the task need assessment. So, hindi siya basta, pag nasa industry na kayo, hindi siya basta masabi lang. Okay? Masabi lang na, ito na lang, i-training nyo kahit ano. Hindi yun hinulaan. Yun ay base sa training needs analysis or task need assessment ng HR sa inyo. Yun yung kailangan ninyo. Okay? So, that is how the human resources actually process training. So, in words, ito siya. So, this is the 9 steps to training process. Okay. So, ito converted in words lang. Pero ito rin yun. Yung kanina. Okay. Isa-isahin natin sila para medyo mas thorough natin. Medyo mas kita nyo kung ano-ano yung ginagawa. Okay. So, dito sa assessing training needs. Assess training needs. You conduct training needs analysis by either one, external approach. So, halimbawa ay company, guest society. Halimbawa ay kukunin niyo yung mga customer satisfaction rating. Okay? At nakita niyo mababa yung rating niya dito. Kailangan niyo siyang i-train para tumaas yung rating niya doon. Okay? You can also have internal approach, the staff opinion survey. Okay, staff opinion survey, meaning kukunin mo yung insights ng mga ka-close na trabaho niya. O, survey din. Okay? Yung rating nila sa worker na to. Then, pag may gap or pagka mababa, i-address natin kung bakit mababa. So, yun, training needs yun. Okay? Next, preparing the training plan. Okay? So, yung preparing the training plan is actually ranging from long-term to short-term. Okay? When you're talking about long-term plan, 5 to 10 years ang ranging niya. Okay? And idea ng lahat ng workers ninyo ay merong long term. Okay? Next, medium terms naman ay 3 to 5 years. Then short terms are 1 year, ranging 1 year. And lahat yan, dapat meron ng empleyado nyo. Once na hinire nyo yung empleyado, meron agad kayo dapat training plan para sa kanya. Okay, kasi hindi siya nandito or hindi siya na-hire para magtrabaho lang sa inyo. Nandun din siya para mag-grow. Okay, lahat ng hina-hire natin nandun din. Aside from working, earning, nandun din sila para mag-grow. Okay, at kung hindi yun yung objective ng kumpanya nyo na pagtatrabahuhan, medyo alarming yun. Kasi ibig sabihin, after the profit lang yung kumpanya. Okay, at walang magtatagal na empleyado kung walang growth sa loob. Okay, it's not always about the money. You would be appreciating that pag nasa industry na kayo. It's not always about the money. You would need to grow inside the corporate or inside that industry. Okay? And kung hindi mo mararamdaman yun, kahit ang laki ng sweldo mo, aalis at aalis ka. Okay? So, yun. So, kaya it's very essential na merong training plans ranging from short to long-term plans. Okay? Ask yourself, what are we going to achieve in this time period? And use a holistic approach by using a calendar for inputting your training activities. So, like this one. Okay? So, this is actually a short-term plan na hanggang December, supposedly. Okay? So, halimbawa, worker A. O di kaya, yung iba ang ginagawa per department. Okay, department ang nakalagay. So, yung department na yan ay iti-train ng January to March sa attitude, ganyan, whatever. Okay, so yun. So, yun yung nagiging training calendar. Pero yung mas okay daw, mas okay syempre, individual plans kasi hindi naman tayo sabay-sabay pumasok sa planta. Okay? So, yun. May individual plans pa din, though minimal. Kasi, syempre, especially kapag ang minamanage ng human resource na 700 na tao. So, yun. Medyo ginugroup-group na nila. Okay? So, for individual personalized training, we must assess the trainees' weakness, strengths first before setting up appropriate programs. So, training areas may be tailor-made for individual plans, especially kung mayroong alarming, okay, na kailangan talagang i-address dun sa taong yun. Okay, so, pwedeng one-on-one ang gagawin sa kanya. So, engaging techniques to make training stick. So, for adult learners, okay, so 20% of what they read and hear ang nakukuha nila. Okay, so ang nangyayari kasi, compared to after 1 year of training, the average adult only retains 10% to 15% of what they actually learned. Okay, so for the trainer, connecting is the ability to communicate and add value with another person to increase the influence and learning. So, ang nangyayari kasi, ayan, teka lang. Ayan, okay. So, ito yung retention ng adult learners. And bakit pinag-uusapan yung adult learners? Kasi, in the future po, ang ititrain nyo nga ay adults. Okay? Ay ranging from the age of, minsan 18, nagtatrabaho na. 18 to 60 years old yung possible na ititrain nyo. Okay? So, please take note that the adult learners learn 20% if what they read and hear, 20% lang. Ang dami mong sinabi, 20% lang yung magre-retain. Okay? And then 40% of what they see, okay? 50% of what they say, and 60% of what they do. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, mas malaki yung chance na matuto sila pagka nag-actual sila. Or sila mismo, tinatry nila yung kung ano man yung tinuturo mo. Okay? So, that's how you can do it. So, for the trainer, you have to really, it's a challenge para sa ating mga trainer na to build rapport to your future trainees. Okay? So, in a way, kailangan yung i-combine tong mga to. 38% tonality, hindi pwedeng monotone lang kayo na eto kasi yun, kasi ganito, blah blah, 'di ba? Hindi ko alam kung nakaranas na kayo ng speaker na gano'n, pero aantukin kayo pag gano'n. Okay? Hindi mo alam kung anong hina-highlight niya, hindi mo alam kung anong gusto niya sa buhay, okay, mga gano'n. Hindi mo alam kung siya ba ay nagpapahili ng bata, okay? So it matters to us, 38% should be with that. I mean, you have to prepare yourself na kailangan ay okay yung toning mo, I mean, okay yung pitches, okay mag-highlight, okay? Then, 55% physiology. One way din na mararamdaman ng inyong learners o may engage ang inyong learners is pag nakikita nila na nag-action kayo. Paano yung action? Okay, hindi naman siya literal na kada words ay may action na parang anong tawag dito? Parang doxology. Okay, hindi naman parang ganun. Okay, so sinasabi lang, mas okay kung medyo may konting movements yung kamay, okay, yung facial expression, okay, at di kaya, tas yung body movements, factor din kung pwedeng naglalakad-lakad kayo sa area para yung mga nasa sulok na tinitrain ninyo magising-gising ng kaunti. Okay, mga ganong bagay. So, yun, 55% physiology. Okay, and 7% words. Okay, so mababa lang. Pero syempre, kailangan nyo ring mag-prepare ng different engaging words. So, di kaya you prepare your presentation very well in such a way na ma-engage din talaga. Makaka-relate. Yung ibang ginagawa ay, di ba, nag-i-include ng mga banat or di kaya mga pick-up lines sa kanilang mga presentations para ma-engage yung mga learners. Okay? So, pwede nyo rin yung gawin in your future training materials. So, techniques to make it stick. So, all kinds talks, all kinds monologues, dialogues, discussion, debates, interviews, This promotes creative and critical thinking. Pero yun nga, 20% lang is actually retained. So, for role-playing, medyo mas maganda to. Okay? So, based on believability of scenario and participants, will gain life and interpersonal skills. So, you can also do group projects. Ito yung palasak na palasak pag kayo ay nasa industry na at may training, biglang maya-maya ay may group project. Okay? So, break-up session wherein i-group nyo sila to 3 and 4 tapos meron lang silang meron ka ipapa-output to them. Okay? So, in that way, medyo engaging din siya. Okay? Kasi nag-iisip din medyo yung mga tao. So, you can also do group project with individual responses. Okay? So, ito yung ginrupo mo sila pero meron silang sari-sariling column for the different responses. Okay? So, then, or di kaya ang tactic ay bibiglain nyo kung sinong magsasalita. Okay? So, yun. Pwede rin naman yun. Examination. So, each group has different scenarios and questions. Each group gives outcome. So, yan. Pwede rin naman yung group examination. Next naman is accelerated learning. So, kaya gamit na gamit sa iba yung maglagay ng games. Okay? So, kasi na kung paano nila ma-relate yung activity doon sa mismong pinag-uusapan. Okay? So, yun. Accelerated learning yung ginagawa pag ganun yung ginagawang technique. Next, student demonstration. So, ito medyo maganda. Okay? So, medyo magde-demo para ma-show yung proficiency sa crowd. Okay? So, student demonstrations. Pwede rin. Peer coaching. So, one-on-one, observe work, and give positive feedback. So, ito yung, try mo nga to, pero hindi naman siya within the public na parang student demonstration. Okay? So, one-on-one siya para makita natin kung na-absorb niya ba kung ano yung na-discuss mo sa kanya. So, yan, peer coaching. Another technique to make the training stick. Another one is guided questions. So, para alam mo kung medyo na-visualize nila, pwede rin kayong magbigay ng mga scenarios o di kaya fill in the blanks na questions. Okay? So, pwede naman yun para ma-assess nyo kung naintindihan, na-gets ba ang inyong tinitraining. So, thinking is actually the hardest. A person can do that is why a few engage in it. So, pag na-engage siya siyang mag-isip, na-engage siya talaga siya in reality. I mean, nandun na siya, natututo na siya. Okay? Next is simulations. So, training environment set up to produce comprehensive workplace-like experience. Or you can actually do storytelling. Okay? The single most effective training is telling relevant stories and having students reflect on them. So, reflection plus experience is equal to insight, according to John Maxwell. So, kaya yung iba, mas okay kung nag-storytelling. Di ba yung mga speakers natin, hindi ko alam kung na rinig, yung mga speakers natin sa mga graduation, ganyan, lagi silang success stories, ganyan. Kasi parang, once na nakaka-relate ka dun sa story, mas nakikinig ka. Okay, natututo ka kasi nakarelate ka sa kanya. Okay, so yun. One way to also, technique din yun. So, storytelling ang ginagawa niya. Okay, so storytelling, ito example, we have hero stories. Okay, so larger-than-life characters saves another worker or prevents crisis. So, hero stories, you can also do villain stories, yung mga kontrabida stories, wherein one who is opposite the hero causes the loss of the life or crisis. You also have adventure stories. Okay, ito yung nangyari, tapos ganito, tapos ganito. Okay, so adventure stories. Then, full stories naman, character who does things wrong and creates loss of life or crisis. Okay, so full stories, niloko siya, kaya ito ang nangyari sa kanya, ganyan. Yun pala, lolokohin lang, ganyan. So, yan, full stories. Okay, so again, pwede po kayong mag-storytelling. One way of engaging your learners or making the training stick is using storytelling. Okay? LeBrown's 3-step process of giving value to the story. So, first, distract. Okay? So, from the person story, they are currently listening to emotionally, physically, or mentally. Okay? So, sana yung story mo ay ma-distract sila. Okay? Yung parang activating siya in such a way na makukuha mo yung attention nila na makakalimutan nilang may exam sila mamaya. Okay? Na-distract mo sila pag ganon. Okay? Next is dispute. Okay? Strategy to have individual back away from their present limited belief. Okay? So, ito yung sana, yung story mo, baka kasi yung paggawa niyang story, yung story pinag-iisipan din yun, ha? Okay? Baka yung ginawa mong story ay hindi man laang naka-touch, okay? Hindi man laang hindi makatotohanan, okay? Hindi man lang na-deviate yung current belief ko. Okay, parang alam ko na agad na joke lang yan. Mga ganon. So, yun. Medyo kailangan creative made yung inyong story. And then, lastly is, it should be inspiring. Kahit villain story yan, kahit full story yan, dapat sana, it should have the point na maka-inspire siya o i-deliver niya yung gusto mong i-training dun sa mga learners mo. Step 3 for the steps in training, specifying training objectives. Training objectives must be specific and measurable kasi hindi SMART, sabi nga nila, specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bounded. So, pag hindi ganun ang objective nyo, ibig sabihin, hindi natin ma-measure kung attain nyo siya sa dulo. Okay? So, yun. So, next is designing the training programs. So, training programs should have program duration, program structure, instruction methods, trainers' qualifications, nature of trainees, support resources, training location, criteria and methods, and for evaluating the program. So, lahat yan nasa isang sheet kung naka-Excel kayo o naka-bind sa isang document. Okay? Para in case, halimbawa, ang training ay Six Sigma, yung siyam na yan ay nasa loob ng Six Sigma booklet. Okay? Selecting instructional method. So, note this is the most important step. So, ito kasi yung key kung paano matututo. Okay? So, instructional methods, pwedeng on-the-job training ang gawin. Okay? So, pwedeng habang gagawin niya, i-immerse mo siya dun sa mismong task, tapos tuturuan mo siya dun. Okay? Tapos, afterwards, i-apply mo yung greatest concept na para maging train the trainer siya. O, ikaw naman. Okay? O, tulungan kita. Guide mo naman ako. Mga ganun. Okay? So, on-the-job training, you can also do off-the-job training. So, off-the-job training, meaning classroom type siya. Yung pwedeng may magdi-discuss. Okay? So, yun. Yung magdi-discuss, which is, though hindi naman siya perfectly ideal, pero most of the trainings that is conducted in the plant is like this, yung off-the-job training, para daw makafocus. Okay? So, yun, off-the-job training. Completing the training plan. So, it doesn't end na kayo ay may plan. Okay? Dapat po ay ma-assure natin na ma-execute ng maayos yung plan. Okay? So, we have to identify the target group, okay, the topic to be discussed, the method, the time, and the location. So, yun lang naman yung concern ni completing the training plan. Confirm nyo lang, kasi may plan na, di ba kanina. Confirm nyo lang, okay na ba? Na-schedule ko ba yung grupong magte-training? Pinayagan ba ng mga supervisors yung magte-training? Okay. Okay na ba yung trainer? Na-prepare na ba yung materials? Okay. So, naka-ready na ba yung mga gagamiting speaker, microphone, area na paggagawan? Bakante ba yung area, may aircon na ba, okay? So, it's important din kasi na aside from dun sa materials, okay din yung area ang paggaganapan ng training. Kasi once na distracted yung matututo o yung inyong estudyante, okay, hindi siya natututo. Okay, so yun, factor din yun. Implementing the training program. So, besides training qualification and experience, you have to consider this. Okay, so participant selection, group comfort, trainer enthusiasm and skills. Baka boring yung napili niyong speaker. effective communication, feedback mechanism, the need to learn new training skills, and preparation by the trainer. Hindi pa naman last. So, evaluating the training. So, once na na-conduct na yung training, so pwedeng mag-evaluate. So, first is the immediate feedback. Ito yung after the training, meron agad pa exam, o meron agad survey, o meron agad evaluation na mangyayari. Okay? Next is post-training test. So, ito yung siguro a week after or a month after the training, bibisitahin mo yung worker, okay, kung na-execute niya ba or na-apply niya ba yung training sa area niya. Okay? And lastly is the post-training appraisal. So, ito na yung during the year-end appraisals, titignan natin kung naipasok ba niya dun sa 1 year na pagtatrabaho niya, yung training niya. Okay? So, yan, evaluating the training. Next is planning for future training. So, last step in training process. So, you have to update your training plans na, okay, so na-execute ko na siya, di ba may calendar kanina. Update nyo yun, tapos ready na for the next training. Okay? And if in case, halimbawa, nag-training, na-identify nyo, dun, during training, nagsabi din pala yung empleyado na, parang wala pa po kaming training na ganito. You have to update your calendar and your training plan. Oh, kailangan din pala ng mga workers natin yung training na to. Lagay nyo siya dun sa calendar o mag-schedule ulit. So, plan for future training. It doesn't end actually. It doesn't end. The training doesn't end. Okay? A training lesson plan. So, ito yung itsura. Summary of key points, training objectives, duration, training contents, training methods, and work. So, ito yung example lang, new employee orientation. Question. Guys, anim ako today. Question. Sorry, medyo maingay. May tao sa labas. Question. Hello?
Wala po.
Ayan. Question, guys.
Wala po, miss.
Wala naman. Pero may natutunan naman, ha? Baka mamaya ay walang tanong. Sige nga, Lilian. Bakit nagtitraining? Bakit kailangan ng training? Hello? Ay, siya, sige na, baka ma-stress. Anyways, so thank you for attending today. Hindi na ako magtatanong ha, kasi baka mamaya ay medyo busy kayo. Anyways, so thank you for attending today. I hope you've learned something. So for those na medyo distracted sa naging session natin today, pwede nyo namang panoorin yung recorded after this session. Or anytime na gusto nyo. Okay? So, for questions and clarifications, message nyo lang ako kung sakali lang na may tanong kayo. Again, this would be the last activity, our last module for WSM. So, I hope na nag-enjoy sa WSM. I hope may natutunan kahit kaunti for WSM. Then, ang susunod nyo na niyan ay lab. Okay. Sige po. Thank you so much.
Miss, wala na po sa Friday. Kasi po last na po yung module 10.
Yes po. Activity ata ang ilalagay ko sa Friday.
Okay po.
Tapos,
Thank you
ang
po.
sunod na ay yung project nyo, yung pang PT for finals. Next week, yun na lang yung gagawin niyo.